These two nightstands don't match. They're not part of the same set. I've had these mismatched nightstands in my garage for 2 or 3 months. They're the same height, but that's basically where their similarities end. Their widths are different, their drawer sizes are different. One has ornate fluted trim on it and the other one doesn't. And none of the hardware matches each other as well. They're actually really solid pieces of furniture, even on their own. But together, when you pair them, it seems kind of accidental. My goal in marketing these things for sale is to make them feel intentional. So to do that, I have a plan. First thing I'm gonna do is remove this base, and I'm gonna give them flat bottoms. I'm then gonna add some legs, probably 4 or 5 inch round tapered legs, and I intend to stain those like a walnut color. I'm gonna remove all of the hardware and unify it by putting new hardware down the middle of all of these drawers. And then I'm gonna paint them a bold color in an effort to kind of really unify and solidify that final matching set, despite the fact that they're not really the same nightstand at all. So it's a little bit high risk, high reward. If I can pull this off, then I think they're gonna have a really nice designer look. If not, they're probably heading back to the corner of my shop. All right, now that we've talked a little bit about the plan for this furniture, I'd like to get the hardware off and get it clean. All right, it's time to get these drawers out and cut the base off. After removing the base, I didn't like how this looks. I think it just terminates a little too quickly, and I think it'll look strange with legs just coming right off the bottom here. I had to take the base off anyway because there are glue blocks in the way from where I'm gonna fasten the legs. So it's okay that I took the bottom off. I don't feel like that's a waste of time, but what I do need to do is come up with a way to transition the bottom of this to the legs. So I'm gonna use the base that I took off of it, and I'm gonna rip this little cove off of the base and reattach that. That'll also cover the joint between the leg and the base of this nightstand. I think it's going to give it a much cleaner look. All right, now that I've trimmed the molding off of the base, this is how it's going to be reassembled. We'll put this molding back here. That'll cover that transition we talked about earlier. And now I can trim this off just inside the height of this molding. Now that I have the nightstand trimmed down to the height that I want it, I'm going to put these moldings back on. And this is what it looks like with the molding back on the base. And now I'm going to put the base back on the second nightstand. Because the depth of the void on the bottom of the nightstands is different, I need to pad this one out to make it equal to the other one. Otherwise, if I add the feet straight to the bottoms, they'll be different heights. All right, I have the bottom prepped. I padded this out so that my leg would attach at the right depth. And this is basically what that's gonna look like. I think it's gonna look nice. The legs I ordered for these nightstands come with some mounting hardware. That is installed in this orientation, so I need to drill a hole to allow for this collet to go into the wood here. Gives it a lot of stability. So I'm gonna lay out where these go and install these first. I'm going to purposely install this upside down, and what that will allow me to do is to use a self-centering bit to go through the collet and find the center so I can drill the hole. Now that that's on upside down, I'm going to use a self-centering bit, and that'll make a mark inside for me to drill the hole out. So we're going to remove this now and drill that hole. Now you just reattach it in the correct orientation. Let's test fit a leg. All right, I want to stain these legs. I'm going to actually dip them and see if that speeds things up. Might be messy, but might be worth it. Okay, I'm going to clean these real quick and then get on to prepping for prime and paint. The next thing I want to do is take the finish off the top of this nightstand. It's a veneer, so I don't want to sand it. I'm just going to use acetone. It's got a lot of chips and wear on it. So I'm just going to take this all the way back down to the veneer. The top of this nightstand is solid wood, so I'm going to sand the finish off of this one. Okay, I'm going to hand sand the remainder of the finish on the nightstand because it's in pretty good shape, and I just need to, sand out some imperfections, nothing too critical. All right, now I gotta fill these holes. I plan to move the hardware so these holes are not in the right location, and I'm using a 2-part epoxy putty to do that. Off camera, I laid out the hole locations for the new hardware, and here I'm drilling those locations. Now that we have everything clean and prepped, it's time to put on a coat of primer. Here I'm laying down a coat of bin white pigmented shellac. All right, the stain has had a few hours to dry. I'm gonna get a coat of shellac on it. It's much easier to finish this stuff before I install it, so that's what I'm gonna do. Probably take 2 or 3 coats. This is very absorbent, so probably 3 coats to get this to the desired sheen that I want. Okay, the first coat of shellac has had about 20 minutes to dry. I'm gonna go ahead and put a second coat on now. You don't have to sand or steel wool between coats because this first coat will dissolve with the second coat over it. So they kind of just blend together. After priming, I gave everything a good sanding, and the next step was to start painting. And this was the color I chose. It's ripe olive from Sherwin-Williams. This is where the 2 pieces either come together or it all falls apart. All right, on to the exciting part. We get to put this thing back together. I'm going to use this bourbon vanilla furniture salve to refresh the drawers a little bit. Now that the drawers have been conditioned, I'm going to get them installed and move on to hardware. Before any work started, these two pieces didn't really belong together. They were close, but not quite a pair. So the question was, could they ever feel intentional? At the start, these felt unrelated. The proportions were different, and the details didn't align. But simplifying the base and unifying the hardware gave them a rhythm. Sometimes good design isn't about matching, it's about balance. If you're getting any value out of this content, please consider liking and subscribing, and leave me a comment. Thanks for watching.